Welcome to Monk's Temple. I want to begin with something that happened to me about 12 years ago, something that cracked open my understanding of what meditation could be. I was on a 10-day silent retreat in the hills of Northern California, and I was doing everything right. I was waking up at 4 in the morning. I was sitting on my cushion for 10 hours a day. I was watching my breath, watching my thoughts, watching my feelings with the kind of meticulous attention that would have made my high school teachers proud. I was a model meditator. And I was miserable. Not miserable in the sense of having a bad day. Miserable in the sense of feeling like I was banging my head against a wall that wouldn't budge. I had this image in my mind that enlightenment was like climbing a mountain. You put one foot in front of the other, you make progress, and eventually you reach the summit. But after 10 days of climbing, I looked up and the mountain seemed farther away than when I started. On the evening of the 7th day, I gave up. Not in a noble, spiritual way. In a defeated, exhausted, this is never going to happen way. I went to my small room, lay down on the hard mattress, and stared at the ceiling. And in that moment of complete surrender, something shifted. It wasn't dramatic. There were no lights, no visions, no voices from above. It was more like I'd been clenching my fist my whole life and suddenly, without deciding to, I let go. And in that letting go, I realized something that changed everything. The mountain I'd been trying to climb was the ground I'd been standing on. The peace I'd been seeking was what was doing the seeking. The awareness I'd been trying to develop was what was already aware of the seeker. I didn't become enlightened that night. But I had a glimpse. A taste. A moment of recognition that there was another way to be, another way to relate to my own mind, another dimension of my being that had been there all along, hidden in plain sight. And here's what I've come to understand in the years since. That glimpse isn't rare. It isn't reserved for people who do 10-day retreats or meditate for decades. It's available to everyone, right now, in the middle of your ordinary life. You've had glimpses yourself. You just didn't know what they were. That moment when you're driving and you suddenly realize you've been on autopilot for the last 10 minutes, and there's a brief gap before the thinking mind kicks back in. That gap is a glimpse of awareness without thought. That moment when you're watching a sunset and for just a second, there's no separate observer, just the seeing itself. That's a glimpse of non-dual awareness. That moment when you're playing with a child or a dog and you're completely lost in the moment, no self-consciousness, no inner commentary. That's a glimpse of your true nature. These glimpses are happening all the time. They're natural. They're ordinary. They're just so brief that we don't recognize them, and even when we do, we immediately overlay them with thought. Oh, that was nice. And just like that, the thinking mind has reasserted its dominance, and the glimpse is gone. What we're going to explore together in the hours ahead is how to recognize these glimpses, how to stabilize them, how to make them your new baseline. Not through years of effortful practice, but through a simple shift of attention. One move. That's all it takes. One glimpse. And then another. And then another. This teaching isn't new. The Buddha talked about it 2,500 years ago. He called it vipassana, or insight meditation, but the insight he was pointing to wasn't something you achieve through effort. It was something you recognize through attention. He said that the mind's natural state is luminous and aware, but it's obscured by the clouds of thought. Not destroyed, not absent, just hidden. And when those clouds part, even for a moment, what's revealed is already there. In the Buddhist tradition, they have a word for this natural state. In Tibetan, it's called Rigpa. In Sanskrit, it's Turiya. In Zen, they might call it your original face before your parents were born. Different words, same pointing. They're pointing to the awareness that's aware prior to thought, that's the ground from which thought arises, and that remains present whether thought is present or not. This awareness isn't something you have to build. It's not a skill you have to develop. It's not a state you have to achieve. It's what you are when you're not identifying with thought. It's your fundamental nature. And the practice of recognizing it, stabilizing it, and living from it is what we call effortless mindfulness. Before we go any further, I want to invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. If what you're hearing resonates with you, if you're curious to explore these teachings more deeply, subscribing ensures you won't miss any of the content we're creating. There's a button somewhere on your screen. Click it, and you'll be part of a community of fellow travelers walking this path together. And now, let's continue. Let me tell you about my friend Patricia. She's a corporate lawyer in her late 40s, sharp as a blade, successful by every external measure. When she first came to see me, she was struggling with something she couldn't quite name. She had a meditation practice she'd maintained for 8 years. Every morning, without fail, she sat for 45 minutes and watched her breath. Every evening, she did another 30 minutes of loving-kindness practice. She'd done retreats. She'd read the books. She'd done everything right. And yet, she said, I feel like I'm just polishing the cage. I asked her what she meant. She said, I'm watching my thoughts, watching my feelings, watching everything arise and pass away. And it's helpful. I'm calmer. I'm less reactive. But I'm still in the cage. I'm still the one watching. There's still a me in here, observing everything, and that me hasn't changed at all. It's just gotten better at its job. Patricia had discovered something important. Deliberate mindfulness, the kind where you're focusing attention on an object, where you're watching your experience with a sense of being a separate witness, has real benefits. It calms the nervous system. It develops concentration. It reduces reactivity. But it doesn't fundamentally shift your identity. You're still the watcher. You're still the one doing the mindfulness. And that watcher, that doer, is itself a construction of thought. In the Buddhist framework, this is sometimes called the difference between shamatha and vipassana. Shamatha is calm abiding, the practice of stabilizing attention. It's like training a puppy to sit still. You keep bringing it back, over and over, until it learns to rest. Vipassana is insight, the direct recognition of your true nature. It's not about training anything. It's about looking directly at what's already here and seeing through the illusion of separation. They're not opposed. They support each other. Shamatha creates the stability that allows vipassana to arise. But if you only practice shamatha, if you only practice deliberate mindfulness, you can spend years polishing the cage without ever realizing you're not the bird inside it. I asked Patricia to try something different. Instead of watching her experience from the position of a witness, I asked her to turn her attention around. To look back at the one who was watching. To ask, not with words but with direct attention, who is this witness? What is it made of? Where is it located? Can I find it? She sat with this for a few minutes, and I watched her face change. First there was confusion, the kind of confusion that arises when the mind realizes its usual strategies aren't working. Then there was a kind of searching, an internal scanning as she tried to locate the witness. And then something shifted. The tension around her eyes softened. Her shoulders dropped. Her whole face relaxed in a way I'd never seen before. When she opened her eyes, she said, "There's no one there. There's just awareness. And it's not watching anything. It's everything." That was her first glimpse of effortless mindfulness. Not mindfulness as something she did, but mindfulness as what she was. Not awareness of experience, but awareness as experience. Not a witness separate from the world, but the world appearing within awareness. In that moment, the cage dissolved. Not because she'd escaped from it, but because she'd realized she was never in it to begin with. This is the shift the Buddha was pointing to when he talked about anatta, or not self. He wasn't saying you don't exist. He was saying that what you take to be yourself, the watcher, the thinker, the doer, is not a solid, permanent entity. It's a process. It's a construction. It's a habit of mind that's been reinforced thousands of times until it feels solid. And when you look closely, when you turn awareness back on itself, what you find isn't a self but awareness itself. Think of it this way. Imagine you're at a movie theater, completely absorbed in the film. You're laughing, crying, gripping your armrest during the tense scenes. You're so identified with the characters that you forget you're in a theater. That's ordinary consciousness. You're lost in the movie of your life. Then someone taps you on the shoulder and says, "It's just a movie." You snap out of it. You remember you're in a theater. You're still watching the film, but you're no longer lost in it. That's deliberate mindfulness. You're the witness, watching the movie from a slight distance. But here's the thing. Even when you're watching from a distance, you're still in the theater. You're still separate from the screen. There's still a witness and something witnessed. The duality hasn't dissolved. Effortless mindfulness is when you realize that the theater, the screen, the projector, and the movie are all made of the same thing. Light. Energy. Awareness. There's no separate witness because there's nothing to be separate from. It's all one field. The watcher and the watched are the same awareness, appearing in different forms. This is what Patricia glimpsed that day. Not a new experience, but a new way of experiencing experience itself. Not a different state, but the recognition of what had always been true. And from that glimpse, everything began to shift. Not overnight. Not without continued practice. But fundamentally. Irreversibly. She had seen through the illusion, and even when the illusion reasserted itself, she knew it was an illusion. There's a story from the Buddhist tradition that I love. It's about a monk named Baiya who was walking through the forest when he encountered the Buddha. Baiya wasn't a monk at the time. He was a spiritual seeker, desperate for enlightenment, convinced that he was close but unable to make the final breakthrough. When he saw the Buddha, he fell at his feet and begged for a teaching. The Buddha could have given him a long discourse. He could have outlined the path, explained the stages, described the practices. Instead, he said something very simple. In the seen, let there be just the seen. In the heard, let there be just the heard. In the sensed, let there be just the sensed. In the known, let there be just the known. When for you there is only this, Baiya, you will not be here or there or in between. This is the end of suffering. And with those words, Bahia became enlightened. Now, you might hear that story and think, well, good for Bahia. But I need more than a sentence. I need instructions. I need a practice. And you're right. Most of us do need more. But the teaching itself is complete. It's pointing to something so simple, so close, that we miss it because we're looking for something more complicated. In the scene, let there be just the scene. What does that mean? It means when you see something, just see it. Don't add anything. Don't label it. Don't judge it. Don't compare it. Don't spin off into thoughts about it. Just see. Pure seeing. Before the mind gets involved with its commentary. In the herd, let there be just the herd. When you hear a sound, just hear it. Not, that's a car, or, that's a bird, or, that's annoying. Just the raw sensation of sound, arriving in awareness. In the sensed, let there be just the sensed. When you feel something in your body, just feel it. Not, that's pain, or, that's pleasure, or, that's uncomfortable. Just the raw sensation, as it is, without interpretation. In the known, let there be just the known. When thoughts arise, just know them. Not, that's a thought about work, or, that's an anxious thought. Just the bare knowing of thought arising. This is the essence of effortless mindfulness. Not doing anything to experience. Not manipulating experience. Not judging experience. Just letting experience be exactly what it is, and resting as the awareness that knows it. I had a friend named Carlos who struggled with this for years. Carlos was a musician, a jazz pianist, and he had a beautiful meditation practice. But he had this habit of evaluating everything. He'd sit down to practice, and within minutes, his mind would be judging. That's a good meditation. That's a bad meditation. I'm making progress. I'm not making progress. On and on, the judging mind would go, turning meditation into another project. One day, I asked him to try something. I said, next time you sit, just notice the judging. Don't try to stop it. Don't try to change it. Just notice it as another sensation, another thought arising in awareness. And then ask yourself, who is it that's noticing the judging? What is that? He did this for a few weeks, and when I saw him again, he was different. The tension I'd always seen in his face had softened. He laughed more easily. He told me, I realized that the judging mind is just another object. It's not me. It's just something arising in awareness. And once I saw that, it lost its power. It still arises. It still judges. But I don't believe it anymore. I don't identify with it. It's just noise in the background. This is what the Buddha was pointing to with Bahia. When there's just the seen in the seen, just the heard in the heard, just the sensed in the sensed, just the known in the known, the separate self collapses. Because the separate self is made of additions. It's made of judgments, comparisons, stories, interpretations. Take those away, and what's left? Just awareness. Just presence. Just this. Not here. Not there. Not in between. Just this. Let me share another example. A woman named Diane came to me feeling overwhelmed by anxiety. Her mind was constantly spinning stories about everything that could go wrong. She tried everything to make the thoughts stop, affirmations, distraction, even medication. Nothing worked for long. I asked her to try the Bahia approach. When anxiety arose, instead of trying to make it go away, I asked her to just notice it. Just the raw sensation of anxiety in her body. Not the story about what might happen. Not the judgment that anxiety was bad. Just the physical sensation. Tightness in her chest. Shallowness of breath. Heat in her face. She did this for several weeks. The anxiety didn't disappear. But something shifted. She said, the anxiety is still there. But it's not the end of the world anymore. It's just a sensation. It comes and goes. And underneath it, there's something else. There's a space that holds it. And that space isn't anxious. That space is calm. That space is awareness. And it's always there, even when anxiety is present. Even when thoughts are racing. Even when emotions are overwhelming. Awareness is the background, the context, the space in which everything appears. And when you rest as that awareness, even difficult experiences become bearable. Not because they've changed, but because you've changed your relationship to them. This is the practice. Not making thoughts go away. Not achieving a blank mind. Not becoming someone else. Just recognizing what's already here. Just resting as awareness. Just letting experience be exactly what it is, without adding anything, without subtracting anything, without manipulating anything. In the seen, just the seen. In the heard, just the heard. In the sensed, just the sensed. In the known, just the known. This is the end of suffering. Let me share something about my own journey that might help illuminate what we're exploring. For years, I approached meditation the way I approached everything else in my life, as a problem to be solved. I had a very type A personality, the kind of person who makes lists of goals and checks them off with satisfaction. So when I got interested in meditation, I naturally approached it as another goal. I wanted to achieve calmness. I wanted to achieve insight. I wanted to achieve enlightenment. And I wanted to achieve it efficiently, preferably ahead of schedule. I remember sitting on my cushion one morning, maybe 6 months into my serious practice, and having this thought. If I just concentrate harder, I'll get there faster. If I just apply more effort, I'll break through. So I would clench my attention, grip it with my mind, and try to force myself into stillness. And you know what happened? My shoulders would go up, my jaw would tighten, and I'd end up more tense than when I started. I was trying so hard to relax that I couldn't relax. This is one of the great paradoxes of spiritual practice. Effort is necessary, but striving is counterproductive. You have to apply yourself, but you can't force anything. You have to practice, but you can't make anything happen. It's like trying to fall asleep. The more you try to fall asleep, the more awake you become. Sleep comes when you stop trying, when you relax into it, when you surrender. But you also have to get into bed, turn off the lights, and create the conditions. You have to do the things that make sleep possible, even though you can't make sleep happen. The same is true for awakening. You can't make it happen through effort. But you can create the conditions. You can practice in a way that invites it. You can learn to relax the striving mind while still showing up consistently. This is what effortless mindfulness is really about. Not no effort, but the right kind of effort. Not striving, but intention. Not forcing, but allowing. In the Buddhist tradition, they talk about the middle way between indulgence and asceticism. The Buddha tried both extremes. He lived a life of luxury as a prince, and he found it didn't lead to liberation. Then he lived a life of extreme austerity, nearly starving himself to death, and he found that didn't work either. What finally worked was something in between. Not too tight, not too loose. Not too much effort, not too little. Just enough. This applies to practice as well. Not too much striving, not too much laziness. Not gripping, not spacing out. Just enough attention to be present, just enough relaxation to let go. I had a student named Denise who embodied this beautifully. Denise was a nurse in her 60s, a woman who had spent her whole life taking care of others. When she came to me, she was exhausted. Not physically exhausted, though that was part of it, but existentially exhausted. She'd been carrying the weight of the world for so long that she'd forgotten what it felt like to put it down. She'd tried meditation before, but it never worked for her. She'd sit down, try to focus on her breath, and within minutes, her mind would be flooded with worries about her patients, her children, her aging parents. She'd try to push the thoughts away, and they'd come back stronger. She'd try to concentrate harder, and she'd end up with headaches. She'd convinced herself that she was bad at meditation, that her mind was too busy, that she just wasn't cut out for it. I asked her to try something different. I said, what if you stopped trying to push the thoughts away? What if you just let them be there, like guests in your living room? You don't have to entertain them. You don't have to engage with them. You just let them sit there while you rest in your chair. She looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. Just let them be there. But isn't the point to get rid of them? The point, I said, is to stop being controlled by them. And you can't stop being controlled by something by fighting it. Fighting is still being controlled. It's just a different form of control. The only way out is to make space. To let them be without letting them take over. She agreed to try it. For the next week, instead of trying to clear her mind, she practiced making space for whatever arose. Worry would come, and she'd say, "Oh, there's worry. Hello, worry." Then she'd go back to resting in awareness. More worry would come, and she'd do the same thing. Not pushing, not clinging, just acknowledging and returning. When I saw her the following week, she was different. The exhaustion was still there, but it wasn't weighing her down the same way. She said, "I realized something. The worries aren't the problem. The problem is that I've been treating them like emergencies. I've been reacting to every thought as if it required immediate action. But when I just let them be there, without doing anything about them, they lose their power. They're still there. They haven't gone away. But they don't own me anymore." This is the shift we're talking about. Not eliminating thoughts, but changing your relationship to them. Not achieving a blank mind, but discovering the awareness that's already present, even with thoughts arising. Not becoming a different person, but realizing who you've always been. The Buddha described this as cutting the root of suffering. The root isn't thoughts or feelings. The root is identification with them. When you stop identifying, when you rest as the awareness in which they arise, they lose their power. They come and go like clouds, but the sky remains unchanged. Let me tell you about a conversation I had with a man named Marcus. Marcus was a successful entrepreneur in his early 50s. He'd built a company from nothing, worked 18-hour days for 20 years, and eventually sold it for a considerable sum. Now he was supposedly enjoying his early retirement. He had a beautiful home, a loving family, more money than he could spend, and all the time in the world to do whatever he wanted. But enjoyment wasn't quite what was happening. He was restless, dissatisfied, haunted by a sense that something was missing. When we started talking, Marcus told me something that stopped me cold. He said, "You know what my biggest fear is? It's not death. It's not failure. It's not losing my money. My biggest fear is that I'll get to the end of my life and realize I've been asleep the whole time. That I've missed it. That I've been so busy doing, achieving, accumulating, that I never actually lived." This fear of missing life while living it is more common than you might think. It's the existential dread that lurks beneath so much of our striving. We keep moving, keep doing, keep achieving, because if we stop, we might have to face the terrifying possibility that none of it matters, that we're somehow missing the point, that life is passing us by while we're busy planning for a future that never arrives. The Buddha diagnosed this condition 2,500 years ago. He called it dukkha, which is often translated as suffering but really means something more like pervasive unsatisfactoriness. It's the sense that something's off, that things aren't quite right, that happiness is always just out of reach. And he traced it to one root cause: identification with the thinking mind. We believe we are our thoughts, and because thoughts are never satisfied, we're never satisfied. Think about it. The thinking mind is designed to solve problems. That's its evolutionary function. It's always scanning for what's wrong, what's missing, what could go wrong, what needs to be fixed. And because it's always looking for problems, it always finds them. Even when nothing's wrong, it creates something to worry about. It's like a hypervigilant security guard who sees threats everywhere, even in an empty room. When we're identified with this mind, when we believe we are the thinker, we're caught in an endless cycle of seeking and dissatisfaction. We think, if I just get that promotion, I'll be happy. Then we get the promotion, and the happiness lasts about 3 days before the mind finds something new to want. If I just find the right relationship, I'll be content. Then we find the relationship, and within months, we're noticing all the ways it falls short. If I just get enlightened, I'll be free. Then we have a spiritual experience, and within weeks, we're chasing the next one. This is what Marcus was experiencing. He'd achieved everything he'd set out to achieve, and instead of fulfillment, he found a void. The things he'd thought would make him happy didn't. And he was terrified that nothing would. I asked him a simple question. Who is it that's experiencing this dissatisfaction? Can you find them? Can you locate the one who's afraid of missing life? He closed his eyes and sat with the question for a long time. I watched his face as he searched inwardly, as he tried to locate the source of his suffering. And then something shifted. His brow relaxed. His shoulders dropped. When he opened his eyes, he said, "I can't find anyone. There's just the fear. There's just the dissatisfaction. But there's no one having it. It's just happening. It's like weather. It's happening, but there's no one at the center of it." "That's right," I said. The dissatisfaction is real. The fear is real. But they're not yours. They're not personal. They're just phenomena arising in awareness. And the awareness that knows them isn't dissatisfied. It isn't afraid. It's just aware. This was Marcus's first glimpse. Not the end of his seeking, but the beginning of a different kind of seeking. Not looking for something outside himself, but turning inward to discover what had always been there. Not trying to fill the void, but realizing he was the void, and the void was full of awareness. Over the following months, Marcus practiced shifting his identity from the dissatisfied seeker to the awareness in which seeking arises. He still had goals. He still had ambitions. He still had moments of fear and dissatisfaction. But they no longer defined him. They no longer drove him. They were just weather in the sky of his awareness, and he was the sky. I remember one conversation we had about 6 months into his practice. He said, "You know what's strange? I still have all the same thoughts. I still worry about things. I still get anxious. But it's different now. It's like there's space around everything. The thoughts come, but they don't take over. The anxiety arises, but it doesn't flood the whole system. There's this background awareness that's always there, always present, always calm. And that's who I am now. Not the thoughts. Not the feelings. That awareness. This is the freedom the Buddha pointed to. Not freedom from experience, but freedom in experience. Not the end of thoughts and feelings, but the end of being controlled by them. Not the achievement of some perfected state, but the recognition of what's always been true. Not becoming someone else, but discovering who you've always been beneath the seeking, beneath the striving, beneath the dissatisfaction. For Marcus, that discovery changed everything. Not because his life became perfect, but because his relationship to life became peaceful. The external circumstances remained largely the same. The internal experience transformed. And that transformation was available not through years of effort, but through a simple shift of attention. One glimpse. And then another. And then another. I want to share something that might seem counterintuitive. When people first hear about effortless mindfulness, when they first encounter the idea that awareness is already awake and present, they often think, "Great. So I don't need to do anything. I don't need to practice. I don't need to make any effort. I can just relax and be as I am." And there's truth in that. But there's also a misunderstanding. The word effortless can be misleading. It doesn't mean that nothing is required of you. It doesn't mean you can just go about your life exactly as you always have and expect anything to change. It means that what you're discovering, awareness itself, is effortlessly present. It doesn't have to be manufactured. It doesn't have to be maintained. It doesn't have to be achieved. It's always already here. But recognizing it, stabilizing it, living from it, that does take practice. That does take intention. That does take a kind of gentle, persistent effort. Think of it like learning to ride a bicycle. At first, it takes tremendous effort. You wobble. You fall. You're constantly thinking about what you're doing. You're gripping the handlebars, tensing your muscles, trying to balance through sheer force of will. Every movement is conscious, deliberate, awkward. But then, at a certain point, something clicks. You're riding effortlessly. The bike becomes an extension of your body. You don't have to think about balancing anymore. You don't have to think about pedaling or steering. You just ride. The effort hasn't disappeared, but it's transformed. It's no longer the effort of striving. It's the effortlessness of skill. The same thing happens with this practice. At first, it feels awkward. You're not sure if you're doing it right. You have glimpses, but they're brief and unstable. You forget. You get pulled back into the thinking mind. You doubt whether anything's really happening. But over time, as you practice, the glimpses become longer. The shifts become easier. The recognition becomes more familiar. And eventually, effortlessly mindful awareness becomes your new baseline. It's not something you do. It's something you are. But getting there requires practice. I had a student named Anita who embodied this journey perfectly. Anita was a schoolteacher in her 40s, a single mother of 2 teenagers, a woman with more demands on her time and energy than seemed humanly possible. When she came to me, she was exhausted, overwhelmed, running on empty. She'd heard about meditation, thought it might help, but couldn't imagine adding one more thing to her already overflowing plate. "I don't have time to meditate," she said. "I barely have time to breathe." I asked her, "Do you have 30 seconds?" She laughed. 30 seconds? I have 30 seconds. Then you have time to practice, I said. 30 seconds, several times a day. That's all it takes to start. I taught her a simple glimpse practice. Several times a day, whenever she thought of it, she'd stop whatever she was doing, take a breath, and ask herself, what's here right now? What's aware of this moment? Just 30 seconds. Just a brief pause. Just a tiny shift from doing to being. The first week, she forgot most of the time. The second week, she remembered maybe once or twice a day. The third week, something started to shift. She called me and said, "I was in the middle of a fight with my daughter, and I remembered to pause. Just for a second. Just long enough to notice that I was aware of the fight, aware of the anger, aware of my daughter's face. And in that second, something changed. I didn't say the thing I was about to say. I didn't escalate. I just paused. And the whole dynamic shifted. This is how the practice works. Not through long hours of sitting, though that can be helpful. Not through intensive retreats, though those have their place. But through repeated glimpses, repeated pauses, repeated moments of remembering. Each glimpse is like a drop of water. Alone, it doesn't seem like much. But drop by drop, over time, the drops wear away the stone of identification. Drop by drop, they fill the container of awareness. Drop by drop, they transform the landscape of your mind. The Buddha talked about this when he described the path as a gradual training. He didn't say it was an instant transformation for most people. He said it was like a river that flows slowly to the ocean, carving its way through the landscape over time. Each moment of mindfulness is another inch of progress. Each glimpse is another step toward the sea. For Anita, the drops accumulated. She kept practicing her 30-second glimpses throughout the day. In the car, waiting for a red light. In the kitchen, waiting for water to boil. In the hallway between classes, pausing for just a moment before entering the next room. These tiny pauses, repeated dozens of times each day, began to weave themselves into the fabric of her life. After 6 months, she told me, "I don't have to remember anymore. It's just there. Not all the time, but more and more. There's a background awareness that's present even when I'm busy. It's like I used to live on the surface of my mind, always caught up in the waves. Now I know there's depth. I know there's an ocean underneath. And even when I'm caught up in the waves, I know the ocean is there. I can feel it. I can rest into it." This is what practice does. It doesn't create the ocean. The ocean is already there. But it gives you access. It reminds you the ocean exists. It shows you how to drop beneath the waves. And over time, that dropping becomes more natural, more automatic, more effortless. So if you're someone who thinks you don't have time to practice, think again. You have 30 seconds. You have moments throughout your day that are currently being filled with thought, with worry, with planning, with distraction. Those moments can become glimpses. Those moments can become portals. Those moments can become the drops that, over time, transform everything. The effort is real. But it's not the effort of striving. It's the effort of remembering. It's the effort of pausing. It's the effort of turning toward what's already here. And that effort, repeated consistently, gradually gives way to effortlessness. I want to talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough in spiritual circles. What about trauma? What about the deep wounds that many of us carry from childhood, from relationships, from loss, from the simple act of growing up in a world that wasn't always kind? Does this practice help with that? Can awareness heal the places that have been broken? And if so, how? These questions are personal for me. I grew up in a household where love was conditional, where approval depended on performance, where emotional safety was never guaranteed. I spent the first 30 years of my life carrying wounds I didn't even know I had, wounds that shaped my relationships, my self-image, my entire way of being in the world. When I first started meditating, I wasn't trying to heal. I was trying to escape. I wanted to transcend my pain, rise above it, leave it behind. I wanted to be so enlightened that the wounds would simply disappear. It didn't work. What I discovered, eventually, was that awareness doesn't make pain go away. It makes pain bearable. It doesn't erase wounds. It creates the space for wounds to heal. It doesn't transcend the broken places. It includes them, holds them, loves them into wholeness. I remember a specific moment, maybe 15 years into my own practice. I was sitting in meditation, and a memory arose from early childhood. I was maybe 4 years old, standing in the kitchen, watching my mother's back as she washed dishes. I'd done something wrong, something I couldn't even remember, and she was ignoring me. Not punishing me, not yelling at me, just ignoring me completely. And in that memory, I felt the old pain, the sense of being unseen, unloved, unworthy. But this time, something was different. Instead of being overwhelmed by the pain, instead of being pulled into the story, I was aware of it. I was the space in which the memory arose. And from that space, I could hold the 4-year-old with compassion. I could let him know he was seen. I could let him know he was loved. I could be the parent he never had. This is what awareness does. It doesn't change the past. The past is gone. But it changes the relationship to the past. It brings the wounded parts into the present, into the light of consciousness, where they can finally be seen, finally be held, finally be healed. In the Buddhist tradition, this is sometimes called taking the fruit as the path. Instead of waiting until you're fully healed to practice, you use the practice to heal. Instead of trying to transcend your wounds, you bring awareness to them. Instead of running from pain, you turn toward it with compassion. The very thing you've been avoiding becomes the doorway to freedom. I worked with a woman named Elena who embodied this teaching. Elena was a survivor of significant childhood abuse. She'd done years of therapy, made real progress, but there was a core of pain that wouldn't budge. Whenever it came up, it would flood her with shame and despair. She felt stuck, hopeless, convinced that some parts of her were simply beyond repair. When we started working together, I taught her the kind of glimpse practices we've been exploring. She learned to shift her identity from the wounded part to the awareness that holds the wounded part. And from that place, she was able to approach the pain differently. Instead of being the pain, she was the one witnessing the pain. Instead of being overwhelmed, she was the space that contained the overwhelm. The first few times she tried this, the pain was too strong. She'd shift into awareness for a moment, and then the wound would pull her back in. But she kept practicing. She kept glimpsing. She kept returning to awareness, again and again, like a mother returning to a crying child. Over time, something shifted. The pain didn't disappear. But it lost its grip. It became something she could be with, something she could hold in compassion, something she could learn from. And as she held it, as she brought awareness to it, it began to transform. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But gradually, like ice melting in the sun. After about a year, she told me, the pain is still there. But it's not me anymore. It's something I carry, not something I am. And because it's not me, I can be with it differently. I can be kind to it. I can listen to it. I can let it tell me what it needs. And when I do that, it softens. It doesn't go away, but it softens. It becomes bearable. It becomes part of the landscape instead of the whole territory. This is what healing looks like from the perspective of awareness. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of compassion. Not the eradication of wounds, but the inclusion of wounds in a larger wholeness. Not the transcendence of the human, but the full embrace of the human within the context of the awakened. The Buddha talked about this when he described the second noble truth. The cause of suffering is craving, but craving isn't just wanting things. It's also wanting things to be different than they are. It's pushing away what's painful. It's running from what's difficult. And the end of suffering isn't the end of pain. It's the end of the struggle against pain. It's the end of the pushing and pulling. It's the peace that comes when we finally stop fighting with what is. For Elena, that peace came gradually. Not through escaping her wounds, but through befriending them. Not through transcending her humanity, but through including her humanity in something larger. Not through becoming someone else, but through discovering who she'd always been beneath the wounds. And the same is possible for you. Whatever you're carrying, whatever wounds you hold, whatever pain lives in your body and heart, it can be held. It can be seen. It can be included. Not because you'll get rid of it, but because you'll discover that you're bigger than it. You're the sky, not the weather. You're the ocean, not the wave. You're awareness itself, and awareness can hold anything. Let's do a practice together. Not a practice of doing, but a practice of noticing. Not a practice of achieving, but a practice of recognizing. Not a practice of becoming, but a practice of being. Find a comfortable position. You can close your eyes if that feels safe, or you can keep them slightly open with a soft, unfocused gaze. Take a breath. Maybe a slightly deeper one than usual. And as you exhale, just let go of any tension you're holding. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. Let your belly relax. Now, notice where your attention is right now. Chances are, it's up in your head. That's where most of us live. We're up in the control tower, looking out through our eyes, listening through our ears, processing through our thoughts. So just notice that. Notice the sense of being a self located somewhere behind your eyes, looking out at the world. Now, here's the invitation. See if you can let your awareness drop down. Just let it sink. Let it move from your head down through your neck, through your throat, into your chest. Let it settle in the center of your chest, in the area of your heart. This isn't about the physical heart. It's about the felt sense of presence in the center of your torso. And as your awareness settles there, notice that something shifts. The world doesn't feel quite so far away. There's a sense of connection, of embodiment. You're not just observing life from a distance. You're in it. Now, from this place, become aware of your thoughts. Just notice them. You might hear them as inner speech, like someone talking in the next room. You might see them as images passing across an inner screen. Whatever form they take, just notice them. And notice that you're noticing them. There's awareness, and there's the content of awareness. They're not the same thing. Ask yourself this question: what is aware of my thoughts right now? Not what does it think about my thoughts, but what is it that knows they're happening? Can you feel that? Can you sense that presence, that knowingness, that's not itself a thought? This is the crucial moment. Most people, when they ask this question, immediately create a new thought. They think, oh, it's me. I'm aware of my thoughts. But that's just another thought. That's the thinking mind trying to claim awareness as its own property. Instead, see if you can just rest in the knowing. Don't name it. Don't label it. Don't think about it. Just be it. Just be the awareness that's present, noticing everything that arises. And from this place, ask another question: what's here when I'm not thinking about what's here? Just for a moment, let go of the need to figure anything out. Let go of the need to have an experience. Let go of the need to get it right. What's here? Just this. Just presence. Just awareness, aware of itself. Now, if you're like most people, the thinking mind is probably already jumping back in. It's saying, was that it? Did I do it right? I don't feel anything special. That's fine. That's what thinking minds do. Just notice those thoughts too. They're not a problem. They're just more clouds. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes if they were closed, and come back into the room. That was a glimpse. Maybe it was a very brief glimpse. Maybe it lasted only a fraction of a second before the thinking mind reasserted itself. That's okay. That's how it starts. The practice is simply to have these glimpses repeatedly, over and over, until they become familiar. Until the shift from thought-based identity to awareness-based identity becomes something you can do intentionally, something you can stabilize, something that becomes your new normal. I want to share something about glimpses. They're not about having a special experience. They're not about feeling peaceful or blissful or transcendent. They're about recognizing what's already here, regardless of what else is here. You can have a glimpse in the middle of anxiety. You can have a glimpse in the middle of grief. You can have a glimpse in the middle of chaos. Because the awareness that's aware of anxiety isn't anxious. The awareness that's aware of grief isn't grieving. The awareness that's aware of chaos isn't chaotic. It's just aware. It's just present. It's just here. One of my students, a man named David, had his first glimpse in the middle of a panic attack. He was sitting in his car in a parking lot, heart racing, hands shaking, convinced he was dying. And in the midst of that terror, something made him ask, who's aware of this? Who's noticing this panic? And for just a moment, he shifted. He wasn't the panic anymore. He was the space in which panic arose. The panic was still there. The physical sensations were still intense. But he wasn't identified with them. He was aware of them. And in that awareness, something opened. The panic didn't disappear, but it lost its grip. It became bearable. It became survivable. David later told me, that moment changed everything. Not because the panic stopped, but because I realized I wasn't the panic. I was something else. Something that could hold the panic without being destroyed by it. And once I knew that, the panic could never fully control me again. This is what glimpses do. They show you the truth of who you are. Not as an idea, but as a direct experience. And once you've seen that truth, even for a moment, you can never completely forget it. The thinking mind will try to cover it up. The old patterns will try to reassert themselves. But the knowing remains. The recognition lingers. And with practice, it deepens. So if your glimpse was brief, if it felt like nothing happened, if you're not sure you got it, that's fine. That's normal. That's how it starts. The important thing is to keep practicing. Keep glimpsing. Keep turning toward what's already here. Drop by drop, the drops accumulate. And over time, they transform everything. We've traveled a long way together. From the misunderstanding that we are our thoughts, to the recognition that we are the awareness in which thoughts arise. From the suffering of identification with the ego, to the freedom of resting as awareness. From glimpses that last seconds, to the possibility of living from this place full time. But this is not the end. This is the beginning. The journey of awakening doesn't have a destination. It's a continuous unfolding, a deepening, an integration. There will always be more to discover, more to heal, more to love. I want to leave you with a story from the Buddhist tradition. It's about a famous teacher named Ajahn Chah. One day, a student came to him and said, "I've been practicing for years, and I'm still not enlightened. I'm still suffering. I'm still caught in my thoughts. What should I do?" Ajahn Chah picked up a glass of water that was sitting beside him. He said, "You see this glass? I love this glass. It holds water beautifully. When the sun shines on it, it reflects the light. When I tap it, it makes a lovely sound. But to me, this glass is already broken. I know that someday it will crack. I know that someday it will shatter. And because I know it's already broken, I can enjoy it fully right now. I can appreciate it completely in this moment, without clinging, without fear, without the need to protect it." Then he looked at the student and said, "You are already enlightened. You are already awake. You just don't know it yet. And because you don't know it, you keep looking for something you already have. Stop looking. Start noticing. Start appreciating. Start living from what's already here." This is the invitation. Not to become something new, but to recognize what you've always been. Not to achieve some distant goal, but to notice what's already present. Not to climb a mountain, but to realize you've been standing on the summit your whole life. The glass is already broken. The enlightenment is already here. The freedom is already yours. The only question is whether you'll recognize it, whether you'll live from it, whether you'll let it transform your life. So keep glimpsing. Keep remembering. Keep turning toward what's already here. In the midst of your busy day, pause for 30 seconds and ask, what's aware of this moment? In the middle of a difficult conversation, take a breath and notice the space in which the conversation is happening. In the depths of strong emotion, feel the awareness that holds the emotion without being overwhelmed by it. Drop by drop, the glimpses accumulate. Moment by moment, the recognition deepens. Day by day, the new baseline establishes itself. Not through effort, but through remembering. Not through striving, but through allowing. Not through becoming, but through being. The Buddha's last words, according to tradition, were these: all conditioned things are impermanent. Work out your liberation with diligence. He wasn't saying that liberation is something you have to achieve through effort. He was saying that liberation is already here, and it's your responsibility to recognize it, to stabilize it, to live from it. The diligence isn't the diligence of striving. It's the diligence of remembering. It's the diligence of turning toward what's already true, again and again, until that turning becomes your default mode of being. So here we are at the end of our time together. But this is really just the beginning. Everything we've explored, the glimpses, the stories, the teachings, are just pointers. They're fingers pointing at the moon. Don't confuse the finger for the moon. Don't get attached to the teachings. Use them, and then let them go. What matters is your direct experience, your own recognition, your own awakening. Thank you for spending this time with me at Monk's Temple. If what we've explored together has resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. There's much more to come: teachings, practices, conversations, and explorations of this ancient path made new. When you subscribe, You'll be part of a community of fellow travelers, all walking this path together, all supporting each other and remembering what's always been true. Until next time, be well. Be awake. Be aware. And remember, what you're seeking is what's doing the seeking. The glass is already broken. The enlightenment is already here. You are already what you've been looking for.